All right. No script, one take, and the first take. I have had a few days to think about Destiny's State of the Game, addressed, what is that, August 2nd, 2023, by Joe Blackburn. He does mention at the beginning of the article that we're going to be hearing from many people from across all the teams. Yes, I get it. But nobody mentions any of their names, and I'm pretty sure I understand why, because, man, this article was so hard to hear as a Destiny fan because it was not exciting. I feel like over the years, the state of the games have been continuing to get less exciting. They used to be very hype. Man, it would be such an exciting time to read a 1,000,000-word article in the middle of the day during the work week. You know what I'm saying? You clock out for lunch, you're ready to read this article while you're eating your peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Unfortunately, man, it felt really bad. Now, I'm a huge Destiny fan. I have, my whole neck is Destiny tattoos. Okay. I've been playing this game since beta. Man, and I love Bungie's games. They make great games. But as a player, man, it was really hard to hear. Now before I get into I'm sure some of you already know. You already know what the sucky stuff is, probably. But I do want to just point out some good things, I guess. So let's take a look at the article. And I'm still excited for the showcase, and let's get this straight. PvE is probably almost always going to be in at least a pretty good state. And the story, Lightfall, it was scuffed, but I still do enjoy the seasonal stories, even though they are drip fed. I understand some people don't like that. It's okay for me and my wife. We're okay coming in and playing a story mission for 15 minutes once a week. We enjoy it. It's good stuff. And what you thinking about, Bobby? Sorry, my dog just distracted me. So the story is going to be good. I'm sure they're going to keep making really good PvE content. Yeah, the most recent raid was weak in the challenge department, but it's okay. Bungie really does make some good stuff. And honestly, I probably like almost everything that they make. But I think part of the problem with this state of the game is the stuff that they're not making. And the stuff that they basically acknowledge that we want, that they're just not gonna make. And it's kind of weird. It's just really, I don't know. We'll go over it. But anyways, let's talk about some good stuff. This Pathfinder UI stuff, helping players know where to go and how to progress through some things. Sure, that's cool. What else do we got in here? The challenge, sure, blah blah blah. What was the good stuff? Oh yes, the favoriting, the transmats being unlocks, very good. The shaders being favoritable, very cool. Fragments for stasis being purchasable, very nice. There being new stasis fragments coming, or not stasis, strand fragments coming out too. That's really cool. I'm excited for that. Like I said, Bungie makes some good stuff. But I'm used to corporate talk and the reasons certain companies say things that the way that they say them, and man, it was just really ouchy, and also kind of like, I don't even know, like rude in a sense. Let's get to it, okay? So Guardians versus Guardians. Thanks to the hard work of multiple teams, we've delivered several additions to PvP over the last few seasons. Delivered several additions, and then they list these things. They try to. This is what a lot of companies do. They want to show you what they've done, and they're overselling it. They describe it in ways that are more grand than they actually are. For example, it says like the launch of competitive division. I don't know if you can call it that. It's a very, very slight rework of the ranked system. Very tiny. The difference is almost, there are people who, if they hadn't been playing Destiny for the past 2 years and they hopped in, I don't even think they would know that anything was different about it. Multiple new game modes. It's true, they did make a couple new Iron Banner game modes, which I did enjoy Eruption personally. I didn't enjoy Fortress very much, though I did enjoy the creativeness of it, like trying it was cool. I felt like the execution of it, like player abilities, didn't really like it that much, but regardless, they did make new game modes. Unfortunately, they're limited to, you only get to play them for 15 days per season, usually, or I guess 21 days per season. Okay, whatever. A revamp of Trials of Osiris. I don't even know what this is. What was the revamp of Trials? As far as I know, I know they've done different matchmaking and different pool changes. Is the revamp the mercy card forgiving 2 losses? Is that a revamp? I'm not trying to be rude. Anyone from Bungie listening to this, if there is, I promise I am not trying to be disrespectful. Okay? So let's do it this way. This will be a little bit more. Oh, there we go. Very good. I thought I pushed the right button earlier, but I didn't. New competitive and trials rewards. This is basic. I think kind of expected, I guess. I guess the competitive rewards is kind of part of the competitive division because there weren't really rewards in there for a few seasons, just the Unbroken title. Fireteam matchmaking improvements, new rotator playlists, PvP specific weapon tuning, several quality of life. These are they at the beginning they describe this as delivered several additions. That sounds like big, cool things, like straight on add-ons, things that weren't there before. Boom, they're here. But none of the. I don't know. That's not really what any of these things are. A lot of these are basic, smaller things that are expected. That like if anybody's ever gonna play or be any part of that game, like these things kind of have to be going on. Otherwise, it would just kind of die off. So I don't know why you would advertise that, I guess, as several editions, like it's something really cool. But this is the weirdest part. So however, we know our hardcore PvP players want more maps, fewer cheaters, and an ever-evolving meta. I don't know if that's necessarily just the hardcore PvP players. The hardcore ones maybe even more so. But I think everybody who plays any amount of PvP would enjoy fewer cheaters, an ever-evolving meta that feels good to compete in, and more maps. The most frequent feedback we see is that there is not enough new PvP content, specifically new maps. Okay, they're recognizing the most frequent feedback we get is that there's not enough. And to set expectations, we will not be giving you enough. Oh, it just hurts so. I'm a PvE player. I play all aspects of the game, but especially these past 2 seasons, especially this one, I've played close to 0 PvP. Man, and it sucks so bad because Destiny its PvP is really unique. I do enjoy PvP in all of the games that I play. But I don't know what it is. And I honestly, I don't know what I was expecting. I have no idea what Bungie could have said in this state of the game that would have made me excited, which is kind of a bummer in regards to the PvP stuff. In general, I'm excited for Final Shape. Bungie could honestly probably scuff Final Shape, and I'll probably still like it buy it and play it. But man, it just feels bad as a consumer. Like, I wish I could be excited. And I wish I could be excited for PvP. But Bungie says, don't get excited for PvP because, and in a sense, this is what's weird too, is they almost threaten us, right? They say when we do focus our resources on building new Crucible maps, it comes with the trade-off of multiple teams' bandwidth on work that contributes to a variety of experiences players also hold dear, such as a new story, exotic mission content, core activities, and new destinations. So this sentence just feels so, I don't know, it stings. It's got a little poison in it, it feels like for me, because it's like they're saying, we understand that you this is what you want. This is what you all want. But our people who can make the maps, they are making exotic missions and they are making new destinations. And if you want one PvP map a season, we're not going to be able to make exotic missions anymore. We're not going to be able to make new destinations. You're going to be stuck with these destinations. And while I understand, yes, those disciplines are pretty similar. I mean, you're making a lot of, like, you're making real world art that we go into with our characters. Yes, we need those people working on maps, yeah. But it makes Bungie sound like they've got like 10 people working on Destiny 2. I mean, obviously that's nowhere near true. But it just sounds like they're like, we can't afford it. We can't afford to make one PvP map a season. Which is so crazy. I don't there are like Halo made their map editor. Granted that I'm sure that was a grand task to accomplish, making the editor in Halo Infinite. But there's individual people who are making insane quality, beautiful, playable maps in Halo Infinite by themselves. And it might take them a couple hundred hours, maybe less, but as one person. And man, if you could pay one of those people like $40 an hour to just make a map, I mean, I don't know, can Bungie not afford $8,000 a season, maybe $16,000 a season to make a multiplayer map? I'm sure it costs more than that. Okay, obviously I don't know the details. But man, they make $2 million on a Witherhoard ornament. Do you know what I mean? In Eververse, they make $2 million on an Eververse ornament, and they can't hire two more people to just get two people, have them work together to make a new multiplayer map each season. I don't know. It just sounds crazy that they can't afford that. And that they're saying that it basically is like, no exotic mission then. An exotic mission involves lore, voice lines, it involves story elements, and it involves special thematics and music and sounds. Sure, PvP maps are still going to need some sound design in them too, but I think much less. And I don't know. Okay, Travis, I'm getting a little too extreme here. I'm focusing so hard on this. Anyways, to me, the main thing that feels really bad about this whole article is, like I just said, a lot of it is saying like, look at all these things we did for you. We gave you so many things that were really good that you liked. But in reality, they make them sound much more grand than they are. They're small. We appreciate them. I appreciate them. Like I said, I don't want to minimize, or I'm not trying to discount people's work. They did a great job. I like the things that they have delivered. But they're describing them as if it is so crazy that we got these things. And then tell us, we heard your feedback. And if you want that, we're going to have to chop off these other parts of the game, which we think you're not going to want to do. Do you want to make that deal? We give you a PvP map, you don't get exotic missions or destinations. Nobody's going to say yes to that. Obviously, we like new destinations. Obviously, we love exotic missions. But nobody, especially with it being, such a PvE game, nobody's going to be like, oh man, I can't we don't need the PvP map. You're making it sound like we can only have one or the other, but we can have both. We can have both, for sure. And, oh boy, it feels bad. It feels so freaking bad. And then, another interesting, here's a good thing. I did want to say Checkmate sounds awesome. I think that the Relic game mode and Checkmate game mode, I think they sound awesome. They're very cool. It's so hard to get excited about that when you basically told us, you know what we want and you're not going to spend any resources on it, even though you're making so much money. And then the other thing, the Vanguard medals, very cool. I think that's great. Thank you so much. I think that that's going to be very fun for Vanguard related activities. And then let's talk about Gambit for a second. You noticed that since your overhaul, now I don't know. I mean, sure, I guess it was an overhaul. Like the invader changes were actually really awesome, and I experience the benefits of those every single time I play Gambit, which is not that frequent. But yeah, it's weird that it did not move the needle for player engagement. Which the things that you changed, I don't think were things that I don't know. I don't know if you should have thought that it would move the needle for engagement. If it did, it would be so almost unmeasurable. Because I think the things about Gambit that, maybe would create more player engagement are things that don't exist. They don't exist yet. They're not designed yet. They haven't been thought of yet. I'm not sitting here trying to tell you or figure out, solve the problem of Gambit. Because it is an interesting problem, but it is a fun space. It is a cool idea. And I don't know. It's almost like you had to say this to justify that you're like, because it was funny how earlier in the Lightfall state of the game, the word Gambit wasn't even in it, which was, oh my gosh, hilarious. But we don't have plans to dedicate more resources to significantly transform Gambit. And it makes, I understand that it makes sense. It's a less popular part of the game. And I'm also fine with the decision they make here. I understand that you don't want to spend resources here because it's less popular. You don't want to spend resources to try to figure out what it's going to take to make it more engaging. I get it. Totally makes sense. It is just sad. And it also just, I don't know, the comparison, it doesn't make that much sense. Like if you want more player engagement here, it's the risk of any game design, right? If you want to make something that the players are going to love, that's going to be so good, it's going to require investment, I think, significant investment a lot of the time, and it's going to require risk, I think, as well. And I think this section would have been better worded if they instead communicated that you would love to significantly transform Gambit, but that the risk seems too scary and not worth it. It seemed like that you have ideas, but to act on them and the cost of them, it is worrisome because it's all the space of the game is not engaged with enough right now, and it would just suck to spend all those resources here and have no change in the amount of players that are engaging with it. Yeah, I understand that would suck. But instead it just says, those basically the quality of life changes we did for Gambit last year, they didn't cause a significant number of people to engage with it that weren't already. And that we know that you want new maps, since it's lower engagement and we can't figure out if it's worth the risk, we're going to do nothing for now. Yeah, I get it. But what's really weird here is that you're going to port the Cathedral of Scars map, which was a beautiful map. I did enjoy that. And you know what? That might be good. But what's awkward here is that from the section earlier in here where Bungie says that you don't have to play Gambit anymore for Pinnacles or Exotics or anything. Just play whatever ritual playlist you want to play. But then they're also saying that this is the lower engagement, that these things didn't, move player engagement, and that they're not going to make things because it's lower engagement. And that they're also making the seasonal challenges not involve Gambit more, which is funny because that's just going to naturally, even people who like Gambit are going to end up playing Gambit less because the things in the game are not telling them to go play it. They're telling them to do other things. And so they're going to be doing the other things and they're not going to be playing Gambit. And so Gambit's population is going to decline even more, which is fine. It's just sad. It's unfortunate, man. Gambit was really cool. I really wish that something cool would have been figured out about it. My dream was always the hope that somehow Bungie would be able to make a extraction type game mode out of Gambit. But I mean, they're making Marathon now, so I'm good there. I think I'll be having a good time there. But I always thought it would be cool to the idea of transmatting Guardians to a destination like Nessus or something, and going to try to kill certain bosses, but other Guardians are trying to kill certain bosses and get their relics or something. And I don't know how they would do it, but I always just thought it was fun. Would be a fun idea. And Gambit was as close as we got to that. Okay. Armor set rewards. This is another area again where Bungie plays we've got 3 people working on Destiny armor sets, and so we can't make any more type card. That's literally like what happens in here. I'm so sorry again. Once again, I'm really not trying to be so negative, but yeah, they shared a long time ago that there's supposed to be a Vanguard, a ritual playlist armor set, right? And Lightfall didn't have one. And then they say it has been delivering ritual armor sets at the rates we have in the past has become increasingly challenging. The rates that you have in the past, which was 1 per year, it was hard to make 1 armor set per year. It's become increasingly challenging to make 1 armor set per year. And they've historically had low adoption. Well, you've already seen all the memes and everything about everybody reacting to this. Well, it's because you make the sick armor sets cost $20. And I understand, the raids and the seasonal activities often have cool looking armor sets, or at least very unique looking armor sets where you might be able to take a piece from them and make a cool outfit. But literally, Witch Queen's armor set was it was a blue armor set. It was literally just blue armor, but just had a snake, a bird, or the Vanguard symbol on it. So that people don't. When you guys were making this, you were like, I can already see approximately less than 1% of players will be wearing this armor. You know it. You knew it. And so, of course, they have low adoption. So if this is strictly what you're looking at, then yeah, if you're going to make armor like that, stop making it. Yeah, you did a good job not making more of that armor, because that makes sense. But ultimately, it sucks for players because we do want our ritual armor cosmetics each year, but if you just make them suck and then you make the cool ones that, you know, broadly can be described as cool cost 6,000 bright dust for the season or 1,500 silver, you know, of course, the cool ones are always going to be the ones that people are wearing, but Bungie's been making more armor sets than ever, actually. With all the collaboration sets that they've been making extra armor sets each year. But they just cost money instead of being part of the game like they have been before. Well, nobody here is, I think, saying go back to like Warmind, Curse of Osiris, possibly even like Forsaken days, where literally every 3 months you're getting even if it's just slightly different, you're getting a different variant of ritual armor looks. And back then, Crucible, Gambit, and Vanguard, they all had different sets. Each playlist had its own set. And then each 3 months, there was like a variant of it. Like, no one's saying you got to do that. If that's the history that you're talking about, that you've delivered, you know, these sets out. You don't need to do that. I think everybody's fine if you just give us one really cool one across the 3 per year. I don't know. It's like I said, it's just more of there's not enough people working on the game and we can't afford it. We can't afford it with the $4 million profits from the Witherhoard ornaments that we're making. It's not enough to make a one PvP map a season and to make one armor set a year. Can't do it. It's really too hard. Man, do you know? I'm sure there's got to be people at Bungie that know how sucky this sounds. I mean, they play the game, right? You know, that's what they say. They make the games that they want to play. And man, there's got to be some people higher up there. Somebody is making some scuffed decisions that I'm sure a bunch of the devs, man, I can almost guarantee Joe was bummed. I think Joe was bummed, honestly, writing this, because he, like I said, he already he's pushing the blame to not be exclusive to him, right? I'm Joe. The team and I, you know, we're working on final shape. So for the rest of this update, you'll be hearing from a bunch of different voices that contributed to this state of the game. So I feel like he already knows that he's sad and he knows this is going to be bad. So he's like, you know, it's not just my fault. We're all in here chatting about this. You know, we're working on some things. And then, you know, also nobody else's name listed. Joe just has to take the heat for it, even though, you know, it's other people as well. Man, it feels so weird to me. Shut up, Travis. Gosh, I'm sorry. I'm getting really redundant. I've repeated myself a few times. There's no way anybody's listening to the end. But if you listen to right now, this is a comment in the chat 2855 for the 28 minutes and 55 seconds mark. That I can't believe you made it this far. If you did, you're a legend. Man, I don't really got to say much else. I already said it all. Ultimately, the too long didn't listen. If anybody somehow skipped to the end and you wanted to really hear, man, we know the state of the game. It seems like Bungie knew that it was going to suck. They basically said, we heard your feedback about Crucible maps, about Gambit. We heard your feedback about armor sets, and we're too poor. Too poor, we can't do it. If you want it, you're not getting exotic missions. You're not getting destinations. Sorry for the threat, but that's what's on the line. You get one or the other, and we know that you want those exotic missions and destinations so bad. So sorry. And, you know, We know that you're gonna keep paying $20 for the Eververse armor sets, so we can't really afford to give one to you for free each year, because we really need that extra $20 from you each year. Because, like I said, too poor, can't afford it. It's how the game dev is these days. Yeah, and I mean, Strand stuff looks cool. The new weapons. Ooh. Dang it! Someone came to the door, so now I have to edit that part out. Anyways, the quality of life updates that are coming are cool. The new weapon subfamilies are cool. New strand fragments, stasis being purchasable for Glimmer. Yeah, all those things, very cool. Yeah, I mean, exciting might be a strong word to use for them. But yeah, ultimately the rest is a pretty big bummer. I really just, I don't know. I'm sure Bungie will hype me up for Final Shape. I'll be excited for whatever things that they're making and showing in that showcase, but man, I mean, like I said, I've already been disconnected from PvP now. I don't know why, but Bungie can't figure out how to make PvP enjoyable enough for me, and that's okay, you know? That's okay. There's other games. I enjoy Hunt Showdown. I'm gonna enjoy Marathon, you know? It's all good. It's all good. Let me know what you think. That's it. Okay. Now I'm gonna go play some Hunt Showdown with my friends.